Hello everybody! Today's tutorial will be helpful for those of you considering making a short documentary for the Realise Film Festival. A key element to many documentaries is the interview. A real-life interview is an excellent way to tell your story and provide valuable insight for your audience. But how do you conduct an interview? What should you know before you sit down with your subject? To tell us everything we need to know and more, I'll be interviewing Professor Asks a Lot, an expert in conducting interviews. Professor Asks a Lot, thanks for being here. Actually, it's Professor Asks a Bunch. Oh, sorry. Tell us, Professor Asks a Bunch, what's the first thing you should do when conducting a job interview? I'm an expert on conducting interviews for television and documentaries, not job interviews. That's completely different. Oh, whoops. So the first thing you should have done is research your interview subject and the topic. If you are interviewing an expert, you should have researched their body of work. Have they written any books? Other interviews they've done? What is their online presence like? You should gather as much information as possible. As far as the topic goes, you don't have to research in great detail, just enough to know to ask the right questions. Yes, yes, I knew that, just testing you. Okay, let's talk about questions. Tell me, Professor, have you ever been asked a bad question? Yes. Do you like bad questions? No. Do you get asked good questions? Not right now. A good question is what we call an open question. Next question. Don't you want to ask me more about open questions to see what I've got to say? I haven't got that written down. You don't have to have it written down. One common mistake for a beginner is to write down all your questions and then forget to listen to the person you are interviewing. Just write down a few key questions and then be sure to listen to your subject using what they say to ask other questions to expand the conversation and dig deeper. Right, got it. Maybe we could try again. What were we talking about again? I said a good question is what we call an open question. Right. What's that then? I'm glad you asked. An open question just means that there is no definitive answer. It's the opposite of a closed question, which usually only requires a yes or no answer. If you ask something like, do you like cats? Then your subject really only has two options, yes or no. A better, more open question would be, what is it that you like about cats? Well, I think I like that you have to work for their affection. You know? No, you've forgotten to listen again. I'm not asking you the question, that was just an example. What are you even writing there? Oh, it's a picture of a cat. Oh, this is ridiculous, I'm going to... Oh no, don't leave! Oh, I've failed, haven't I? I knew it, I'm a terrible interviewer. Oh God. Oh, now come on, don't be like that. You're not a terrible interviewer, you're just learning. It's not all bad. I mean, your setup to the interview was marvelous. Setup? Yes, the setup is everything you need to do before the interview starts, and you did a great job. When I arrived, you made me feel comfortable, offered me tea, a place to sit. We had a relaxed conversation and built a rapport. Then you clearly outlined the expectations for me, the subjects we'd cover, a few example questions, that sort of thing. I could see right away that your interview setting was well organized. We have an appropriate background and the camera and lighting was already set and ready to go. So I did good. Yes, that part was excellent. Awesome. But then you forgot to listen, asked a series of closed questions, and clearly did no research. Oh. But not all is lost. Remember, most interviews like this don't go live. So if things aren't going to plan, it's okay to ask to start again. Oh, should we start again? Perhaps. And this time, think about the following. Number 1, research. It's worth mentioning again because you must know about who you are interviewing and what information you want to get from them. Don't prejudge your subject. Listen carefully and be flexible to questions opening up to you, which will in turn keep your subject engaged. Try not to interrupt mid-sentence. Instead, use non-verbal cues like head nodding for expansion and breaking eye contact to wrap things up. Try to get your subject to be specific. If they mention something of interest, ask them for examples. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. Often a question that might be awkward in a social setting is the perfect question for an interview. If you've given your subject an honest outline of what you plan to do, they should be okay with whatever you ask. And don't be afraid of awkward pauses. Don't instantly fill the empty space with another question. Often the pause will prompt that subject to expand on what they've just said. Once you feel like you've got everything you need, or the time has run out, it's always good to ask if there is anything else they'd like to add. They might just have one last gem you didn't even think of. And that's all there is to it. If your research and preparation is there, then all you have to do is relax and listen. Okay, all right. I think I'm ready. Shall we start again? Let's. Okay, here we go. Take 2. Welcome, Professor, and thanks for being here. Pleasure. I'd like to start by asking... Oh, we're out of time. Professor, thanks for being here. Thank you.